Good morning. Today is Thursday, October 24th. Got a little bit of a late start this morning. Woke up a little late, if I'm being totally honest. I have not been sleeping a ton lately, although I probably should be, getting up a little bit earlier than I am, knowing that these streams are going to be happening, but, you can't win them all, I guess. Anyways, today what I kind of want to talk about is something that kind of came to me when I was having a conversation with somebody, and one of the things they pointed out, Rob, Lily, good morning. One of the things they pointed out is one of the things that I constantly say on the channel over and over is content or production quality content quality over production quality, or rather that content value outweighs production value in most cases, meaning that you don't have to sweat freaking out so much about like your lighting or having perfect editing or perfect audio or any of these things, although they're all nice to haves. They're not the core of what your channel and by extension your video content necessarily has to offer. It's not the biggest reason people come back and they watch what you do over and over. Jay, good morning. Neo, Nathan, hello, wizards. And one of the things that kind of came up in the course of that conversation, when I keep talking about make content value, right? Things that are actually going to be helpful for people in some way. And somebody pointed out, they're like, well, yeah, but I do a gaming channel and I don't necessarily make pure helpful content. Like, it's one thing for me to sit here and be like, bring content value, knowing that a lot of my content is structured around things that are, inherently helpful. Like whenever I do like reviews or tutorials about things that are helpful to people who run gaming channels, right? But if you're just doing a video game review, for example, or if you're just, doing Let's Plays or something like that, does that still bring people value? And basically the person's argument was, the kind of content that I put out is not necessarily the same thing that a lot of gamers do put out, right? Not a lot of people will go out of their way to create purely content that is, what I try to stick to is, does it inform, does it, inspire, or does it encourage people in some way? And their position was basically that, because their content doesn't have a pure bent like that that's outlined like in the title or in the thumbnail or with the content itself, that, it's not as easy to do those things. And I can understand that to some degree, but I would also say, and kind of the whole point of this video, is that what you do with your gaming channel, even if you don't have a bent towards like tutorials or informative content, is still incredibly just incredibly valuable for a variety of reasons that I kind of went through here, and I decided I was going to run through them to point out just how important what you do is, even if you're thinking like, yeah, I'm just playing video games, maybe that's not that valuable. No, it's super valuable, and I'm going to give you a few reasons right now why I think that is. Sushi, Matt, what's up? How you doing? Suraj, thank you for stopping by the channel. Appreciate it. So, first off, inherently, and this is a no-brainer, but I think it's something that's easy to forget, is entertainment is incredibly valuable. Like, it's not just because, like, yes, it's fun, and I'm not talking about, like, the results you get or the views you get on account of doing entertaining content, but rather what I mean is, like, life is not simply about efficiently completing tasks, right? Again, we're not robots, we're not machines, and even though there's nothing wrong with getting a sense of fulfillment from, getting things done or being productive or making sure that you can aspire to something, those are all good things, there's still that part of humanity, there's still that part of you that has to, like, chill out, right? And enjoy something, and that's one of the reasons that entertainment is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So if you're just making entertainment content, that doesn't mean it's devoid of value. It might be devoid of, like, straight up, like, tutorial or informational value, right? But that doesn't mean it has no value, and entertainment is an incredibly valuable thing to a lot of us, because if it weren't, we wouldn't spend so much time doing it. And I imagine a lot of the creators in this space certainly wouldn't be creating content around video games if they didn't have this deep and profound love for it, because most of us don't play video games because we're like, you know what, I want a deeper insight into the human condition, even though I think a lot of video games and narratives can provide that. Most of us don't sit down and think like, oh, you know what, I really want to be enlightened or have a more philosophical exploration of what it means to be human by playing this video game. Most of us just want to have fun, and the best games that do stand the test of time tend to endure do so because they're fun, not because they have an outstanding presentation, not because necessarily like the story, well, sometimes because the story is profound, but you know what I mean? Like, most of us when we sit down to play, we want to play, and that's the entire point of the medium. So entertainment, yes, is very valuable in its own right. Now, you might think also, just because I'm playing games, like, that's valuable to me, sure, because I get the enjoyment out of it, or I get a piece of content out of it, but does that really bring value to somebody else? And another way that I would say that it does is that it inherently kind of inspires people, right? It doesn't take a lot to get out and make a piece of content today the same way it would have taken 20 years ago. If you want to make long-form video content, that was just unheard of 10, 20 years ago on the web, maybe more like 20 at this point. 10 years ago, YouTube was there. I don't know if you could upload super long videos, but the point is the production capabilities that you have now with just your phone and your ability to basically go from thought to execution and create something that you can share with the world is it's a short hop. You don't have to work very hard to make that happen. Whereas if you tried to do that in like 1995, it would have been next to impossible. And the fact that you can put yourself out there so easily also means you have the opportunity to inspire other people to do the same thing, where some people might not be taking that leap, either because, they're afraid, or they feel like they don't have the technical ability, or because they don't have fancy enough equipment to do so. You can totally shatter all those preconceptions just by making the content that you enjoy that is rooted within gaming, and that will inherently sort of inspire people to maybe consider doing it themselves, because if you can do it, if I can do it, anybody can do this. But sometimes people just need that extra push, and sometimes they get that not from you just, pushing it in their face and telling them, like, no, you need to go make something. Sometimes people pick up on it just by seeing somebody else that is making something, and I think that's a very valuable thing. And the other thing that I would say, and this kind of goes along with the entertainment, piece, I would say, but another reason I think what you do is so valuable, if you're making gaming content, is it's very, very likely you are the breath of fresh air or the break that somebody needs from their day. And it's kind of like what I was talking about the other day. You can't focus on two things at once, right? And no two ways about it. Life is a long, hard trek, right? And even though we live in this world where everyone has these very curated social media profiles where we only share our best moments or the happiest points of our lives, the truth is that is not wholly representative of what most of us have to deal with in our day-to-day. Lots of us have daily stress in our lives, whether that's relationship problems or problems with our job or just something that we're struggling with that we're not telling anybody else about. And even though you have all of these moments that get outlined in social media where everything just looks, super happy and super joyful and super fun and all those things are great, that's not an accurate representation of everything that you experience as an individual. And for a lot of people, if they're watching your content, they're watching your gaming channel, or how you react to a new game trailer, or the enjoyment that you get from live streaming a particular game, that might be one of the best parts of their day, or a break that they get from some of the things that they don't want to deal with. In that way, yes, it could be considered a distraction, but distractions don't inherently have to be bad, right? Sometimes a distraction is incredibly helpful because it gives us a break from some of the more difficult things that we're dealing with in our lives. So raw entertainment value aside, sometimes just the ability to kind of, give somebody something that is not, the normal stressful, chaotic things that they have to deal with in their day-to-day, it's sometimes every waking hour, if they just get a few minutes of a breather just to hang out with you and enjoy what you're putting out, that's a huge help to a lot of people. And kind of in that same vein, something else that I think, aside from just giving them like this sort of passive break where they can kind of consume something you're putting out there that they enjoy, they also have this opportunity to maybe be given a voice. I hate to say this, and I hate to go back to the stereotype, but there's at least a little bit of truth to it. It's true, a lot of people who are really into video games do tend to be more introverted, or at least, that stereotype certainly came from somewhere. And for a lot of people who may not be comfortable interacting with a lot of people at conventional social gatherings, or they may struggle with interacting with other people, oftentimes we'll find that whenever you're doing something that's very much related to their interests, which again for a lot of us is gaming, they may find that one of the times during their day or their week that they feel most comfortable being themselves and just talking is when they can find some common ground. And that common ground, video games, is something that can make it a lot easier for somebody to come out of their shell and start to connect with other people. And because, like I've said on this channel a million times before, human connection is just something we're hardwired for. That's something that could be very, very important to somebody and bring them a lot of joy and a lot of comfort, I would say. Because it's one of the worst feelings in the world to feel like you can't be comfortable in your own skin, you can't be who you are, you can't connect with or communicate with other people. But, if you can provide that conduit by making pure gaming content, again, that has no bent towards tutorial or being informative or encouraging or anything like that, people may find a way to connect in a way that they just don't get at any other point in their lives. And, while you may not be doing it to millions of people, if you're, doing that for one or two people, I would say it's still very important stuff. And the next thing that I would say is, even if you're making what you would consider pure gaming content, right? The only thing you do is you sit down, you do Let's Plays, you do live streams. That's all you do, is you just enjoy a game and banter back and forth with people a little bit in the chat. You will actually, I think, inspire or, kind of teach people some new things without even trying. How many times have you seen somebody in a live stream, or they're playing a game, or they're having a good time, and you've just been curious about something that you saw on screen? Not necessarily about the game itself, or maybe about the game itself, but about what kind of capture card are you using? Or hey, how do you get your lighting to look like that? Sometimes people just naturally start to have questions because, again, I think people tend to get a little bit inspired to start or at least step up their own game when they're just watching something that you put out. So almost without trying, you can still provide something valuable in that arena. even if you don't have an eye towards it, even if you don't set out to make content like, ooh, I'm going to provide valuable information to a bunch of people today on how to like improve their gaming channels or whatever, you may do that accidentally. I know when I watch other gaming channels, I see something particularly interesting that they're doing, or if I think that visually their stuff looks really great, I can't help but ask a question like, hey man, what kind of camera are you using? Or, you know, that's a very interesting look, or using a particular type of lens, or what are you shooting on, or whatever. And usually people will be, you know, pretty quick to respond to that. And if you engage with the community in that way, you'll end up like teaching people stuff and not even realize that you're doing it, which again has value. And all of this leads up to one point that is probably the most selfish and least altruistic of all the things that I'm going to say today, and that is that it's incredibly valuable to you. Just forget about views for a second, forget about analytics, forget about growth and all those things. Just the act of making something, that is taking something that was, you know, completely abstract, something you just had rolling around in your head, and then with a combination of like working with your hands and your mind and your eyes to bring something into reality that didn't exist before and just have almost the pure act of creation, is valuable. Not just because, like, yes, you're going to learn technical skills from creating it, because it does take time to like film something and then to edit it, do post-production, uploading, marketing, all these things that are associated with creating channel content. But then beyond that, it also teaches you a lot of other things, right? You do just inherently learn how the internet works a little bit better. You do inherently learn how to be a little bit more disciplined if you stick to a particular upload schedule. And all of those things together kind of add up to a purpose that you can kind of choose for yourself when you're on this mission to just create things on a regular basis. And I think when you bring all of those things together, right, if you've got like this clear vision, you're regularly creating things, and you're, you know, disciplined enough to keep putting out on a regular schedule, that in itself can be incredibly fulfilling. Even if you get no views at all, even if you upload and nobody knows who you are, the fact that you take something from nothing and then kind of create this tangible experience that somebody can tap into anywhere in the world, that's no small thing. And again, the entire process is just even weird to consider when you think that 30 years ago to do so would have been completely impossible given the technological restraints of the time. So just to recap, even if you're not somebody who's out there to make valuable content, or content that people would consider, I guess, easier to make because it is more bent towards, like, you know, like providing tutorial content or informational content or something like that, you know, entertainment is inherently valuable. I think that you can inspire people without even thinking about it whenever they see the kind of things that you're up to on your channel. It might be that you are the best part of someone's day when they get a kind of break from their own reality, which sometimes can include some really hard, devastating stuff. You might be giving somebody a voice who's not really comfortable interacting with people otherwise. And then, you know, also, you may end up, you know, being inspiring or teaching somebody something accidentally and not even realize it. And all this is to say nothing of all the value that you get just from working through the process. So that's where I'm at this morning. Those are some of the things that I wanted to talk about, because I thought that, you know, when somebody said like, oh yeah, well, if I don't make a certain type of content, then it doesn't have value. Not true. It absolutely has value for these reasons, and probably a whole lot more that I'm not even thinking about. But when it comes to those ones that I'm not even thinking about, I'll turn to you, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into the chat now. What do you guys think about all this? I mean, is there any avenue of value that you see that is inherent to just making raw gaming content, right? Stuff that is more purely entertainment-based that I'm not even considering right now, because I would love to hear your thoughts on it as well. Matt, good morning. Neil says, okay, get tired from last night. My gaming channel is valuable? Yes, it is incredibly valuable, John. All we do is rant at a computer desk about stuff. I keep saying awkward stuff to Josh. I like when you say awkward stuff to me. It keeps me on my toes, man. I gotta stay nimble. But beyond that, I mean, I'm sure the people who regularly hang out on your channel do appreciate it. Do they not? Because if not, they wouldn't come back. No, in India, it's night and smiling? Interesting, Suraj. Sorry, Josh. I'm super sleepy. I'll catch this again when I wake up by. No worries, Beck. Have a good one. Happy birthday to who? Whose birthday is it? Super Demon, happy birthday. Or wait, didn't I tell you, give me an early happy birthday like yesterday or the day before? YourPlayerTwo, yep, indeed. Nia says, I think the value that I see in my content is when someone says they enjoyed it, or hey, can we talk about what you did? Right, and I think, again, like when you make content, like I think people really underestimate how much of a connection people can form with it, and naturally have questions surrounding it, so. You are both entertaining and one of the most inspiring people I know. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. You inspire me as well, Nathan. Hello, Josh's dad, NES Addict. Good morning. Hey, Big Glitch, what's up, man? Jay. I think I'm mostly caught up. It looks like a lot of people just kind of talking back and forth, so. I would love to make different types of videos if I can script or write a bit better. What kind of videos are you trying to make that you're having trouble scripting, just out of curiosity? I mean, if you want to talk about it, I don't want you to spoil your own content here or anything, Matt, but I've seen some of your Let's Play content, but I would be curious, like, are you working something that's outside that typical format? And if so, what's it going to look like, man? If you don't mind sharing, of course. Oak says we hardly ever do that. Wait, which piece? Therapy has helped me find out that I want to leave behind a legacy in this world to help people. I'm not sure in what way, but I need to show the world and people like me and you can be whoever you want. And I think that's an incredibly positive message, man. Truly, and I'm glad that therapy is going well for you. I know that you talked about it briefly the other day in the live stream, and I'm glad to hear it for sure. Also, I'm glad you hit me up this morning. I think that's a tremendous idea, which I won't spoil here, but I'll be looking forward to that. Cake for Super Demon, absolutely. Happy birthday, buddy. Something of value for somebody like me who's not allowed to play any... Ooh, I didn't even think about that. Something of value for somebody like me... So this is Lily Pad talk. It's something of value for somebody like me who's not allowed to play any or not many games. It allows me to live vicariously through y'all and have a way to experience the games. I didn't even think about that. You're right. Like, some people may be in a position where they're either not allowed to or they're physically incapable of playing games. So that may be way more valuable than you'd expect, especially compared against somebody who could absolutely play the same games that you would watch. And I think that's probably where a lot of the mentality comes from, where I still occasionally meet people who are like, why would I watch somebody play a game? I would just play the game myself. That's great for you, but not everybody has access to, the same games necessarily. So while that might be true for you, certainly not the truth for everybody. And I think Lily makes a great point here. 8-Bit says, I was a lurker for a very long time, never commented on videos or anything, but I got very inspired by some of the people in the community to actually start commenting and now actually making videos. It really helped me out of a bad mental health state. I didn't really consider the mental health aspect, but yeah, that does make sense, and I'm glad, man. I'm glad you were able to find some inspiration, because, I mean, there are a lot of great content creators out there, and I think people should absolutely explore some. I mean, obviously, like, a lot of them hang out here, but, I mean, it's crazy for me to think about how many different creators that I've met just in a short span of probably 18, at this point, going on almost 2 years of being what I would call a YouTuber. Again, for those that aren't familiar, made content on YouTube for about 10 years, but largely was unfocused. I was sporadic, didn't really have a good understanding of everything that went into it, so I would kind of ping pong back and forth between blogging content and then kind of dabble in YouTube a little bit, but I didn't really buckle down and realize that YouTube was what I was seriously passionate about until the past 2 years, and even in that short amount of time, I've met just like dozens and dozens, probably, I don't want to, maybe hundreds? I don't know, that might be a stretch, but certainly dozens that I could name that create great content here on the platform. Lily, you'll get your time. Awesome creativity and, whoa, hold on. And useful content, bro. Thank you, Siraj. I appreciate that. How did you find this channel, just out of curiosity? And also, it's interesting for me to think like, oh, this is YP2 in the mornings, but then, if you're over in India, it's probably much later, so. We do stuff we want. It's true. What did Tribal say? I missed it. Lily, I'll record content for you so you can watch it. Josh, no, introducing me to channels late at night. I'm sorry. It's not my fault that it's late at night where you're at, okay? Like, what time is it where you're at right now? No, it's not late at night for you. It's what, in the afternoon right now, Neo? Josh telling us how valuable we are is a great way to start the day, I feel like, Da Vinci. And in fact, you are. You're constantly hustling on your channel, Sushi. And I see that you've been doing more streaming lately, even though you are doing Doraemon right now, right? I'm not 100% sold on Doraemon yet. Although I will retract my previous statements thinking that Doraemon may have been an offshoot or ripoff of Inspector Gadget, considering Inspector Gadget wouldn't come till basically 20 or 30 years after Doraemon's debut. Matt says definitely some top 5 lists. But for obscure games possibly, and doing a collab playing something really scary is something I would love to do. Yeah, and that's the thing, like the list format, especially for obscure stuff, I think the list format's still so powerful. Like, people wonder, like, why does the list format work? It works the same reason it's worked in print media for years. It's easy to read. It's scannable, right? Somebody doesn't have to do a deep dive into every single one of the things you illustrate on that list. Generally, it draws in people who are curious about the particular subject because there's an air of mystery there, right? If you say top 5, then, well, they have to read or watch the entire thing or at least scan it in some way to figure out, if it's something they haven't seen before. And then if somebody considers themselves to be an ultimate authority on the topic, on which you've made the list, then some people will want to watch that content just to make sure they're not missing anything, or so they can maintain that air of authority and make sure that they still, they're still a super fan, I guess. Juice says, I watch less and less gameplay, but I still enjoy it on occasion. You mean like pure Let's Play videos? The value you found is connecting. We've been meeting folks and doing things right. And I think that's one of the most undervalued things on YouTube is connecting with other people. Whether that's just people who enjoy watching the content or other people who are content creators themselves, because obviously if you do that, that's an opportunity that's ripe for collaboration. Hi, Lily. I think I want to make a documentary in the future about the reality of small YouTubers to show people how that the community is as amazing as it is and how much work oh, it's a tremendous amount of work. I would love to watch that documentary. That would be incredible. I hope you you do make that. That would be a really fun watch because yeah, again, it cracks me up whenever I meet someone or like I have a friend or acquaintance or someone. They're like, "Hey, you think you could just whip a quick video of like my daughter's birthday party or something?" Or, I mean, you can just whip up a video, right? Nothing big, just like 2 or 3 minutes. Not realizing that a 2 or 3 minute video or something that's even slightly longer could take many dozens of hours of filming and editing and post production to make something that works. I still think people massively underestimate how much work goes into not just YouTube but video in general, really. Neil says, I know YP2 is such a mood booster. I try to be. I would take YP2 over watching the news any day, which begs an interesting question, because one of the things, so right now, for anyone who's here who's not familiar, which I think I've mentioned just about every other day, but we are in the middle of what is rapidly ending, which was a 90-day live stream only experiment. So if you look back through the videos on this channel, anything from before the beginning of August, it's not that I didn't live stream, I mainly only live stream when I was doing video game stuff. And then I did a lot of pre-produced content, right? I film and edit, and I love doing it. But then I was frustrated by it because I was spending so much time kind of spinning my wheels, getting so worried about production value that instead what I was doing is I was spending more time trying to tweak things and make it perfect than to get information out. So in a way to sort of jumpstart myself and get into a more positive headspace that was more reflective of my values, which again is that content value is more important than production value, I forced myself into this 90-day live streaming experiment where basically I've gone live, except with a few exceptions like just because of work and stuff like that. Where I would basically go live every weekday at 8 a.m. and try to just put out the information I normally would in a pre-produced format and see if I could make it work and see if people would still be receptive to it if it was as early as 8 a.m. Which obviously for some of you, it's not even close to being 8 a.m. So that's, that was a weird argument to begin with, I guess. But that experiment is coming to its end next Friday. And that's essentially do or die time where I have to make a decision of does this format continue? And if so, does it look the same way moving forward or are we going to change it around a little bit? So there's a good chance that next Wednesday's discussion is going to be some of the things that I've learned through this process if I don't end up making a pre-produced video about that. And then also probably I think we should all talk about like what kind of stuff would you like to see in the mornings moving forward. Like, should we keep doing helpful content in the mornings, or should we make it more just purely discussion based where it's not so much that we have to front load with content and then lead into discussion, but we just do discussion the whole time? Should we try news content? I heard some people mention that. They thought that I should do like video game news type stuff in the mornings, which that would be nice because it would give me a steady stream of content. And I don't want to say that you have to turn your brain off for that, because I mean, obviously you still have to deliver that information in like a fun and entertaining way and discuss it with people. But it's not, for me to kind of talk about what's happening in the news would be a lot easier than sitting down every weekend and being like, okay, what are some good topics to cover this week? And then kind of fleshing out multiple points for multiple days and trying to figure out things that are going to be actually helpful to other video game content creators. So yeah, again, experiment's sort of coming to an end, and next week I hope we can talk a little bit about what that's going to look like moving forward, because I know a lot of people here have a lot of different opinions on it. I know that I personally am excited about it because I've really enjoyed this whole process, but I'm also a little bit scared because I'm like, oh man, if I continue this every day forever, like that could get super draining. But it also might be exactly what I need to be more disciplined about things like going to bed at a proper time instead of staying up till midnight watching the Game Looters and Brackaman playing Resident Evil last night. So we'll see. Just something I'm kicking around. We shall see. No, last night stayed up till 5 a.m. Oh, that's brutal, Neo. See, that's what I'm worried about. It reminds me I've got a few videos backlogged at long last. That's awesome. Now, are you going to try to keep that queue up so that, if you get sick or if something comes up, you can still maintain a release schedule? I'm curious, Tech. Yeah, I think I dropped down your dorm on stream briefly, Sushi. Oak says, I took the day off, special day, going to buy a Switch for my kid. That's awesome. Your kid must be super excited, man. Superfan, you say, where's DBZ? And my love for DBZ is over 9,000, predictably so. I don't watch straight gameplay much anymore. I prefer more of a predictably formatted show like the NES Pursuit. Fair enough. So you like stuff that has a little bit more structure to it, not just like a, hey, I'm playing a game, let's come hang out. I thought of another way gaming content is valuable. Let me hear it, Lily. Would love to. Editing is the heaviest time investment in pre-production. It's what takes the longest. Yeah, it can take a very long time. The streams when I found you... Wait. Ah, the streams when I found you at gone 1 a.m. in the morning. Wait, what now? What are you saying, Tech? Right, dude, I gotta go to work. Speak later and have a good one, chat. And Ethan, take care. Appreciate it, dude. And thank you for the message this morning. Let's talk more about that. Josh, your daily live streams are amazing. Tribal, thank you so much for the kind words and encouragement, man. You have no idea how much I truly appreciate those, because it's easy to kind of get stuck in your own head and be like, does anyone really want to watch this? Like, you know, I'm not above, even though like I'm big on like, nah, just follow your dreams and go do the stuff that you want to do and don't worry about what other people think. That doesn't mean I'm above getting rattled. Yeah, it certainly happens. I've talked about my anxiety probably at too great a length in some cases. Takalaka, hello, how are you doing this morning? Good to see you, dude. Can we keep these? You mean, can you actually save the video off for archival purposes, or do you mean, like, can we keep doing live streams? Because at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to keep doing live streams. I think that would be a very good thing for me to do. People seem to enjoy it. Or people would not be hanging out at 8 a.m. before they have to go to work, presumably. You need a green screen so YP2 in the morning can go anywhere. Well, I have a green screen. I just never like the look. I hate that, like, that look around the edges. It like, you know, a good green screen setup takes some technical ability, and I won't say that I entirely lack it, but it's also like, you know, ideally you should be a certain distance off the green screen so you don't cast shadows, which make it more difficult to key out the image. I think at a minimum you need like a 3 light setup, right? Because you want an evenly lit background so the keying can look okay. You want yourself to be lit and there to be enough contrast so you can be keyed out okay. There's a lot that goes into a good green screen setup, and I don't know if I want to mess with the hassle of setup. I mean, spider webs are one thing, right? A whole green screen, that's an investment, Oak. The format is fantastic, mate. It definitely works, in my opinion. And that's the thing, like, I enjoy it, right? That, like, again, this is a very two-way street here. It's not like I just make something and then, you know, kind of asynchronously check out the comments later and reply. I mean, I can kind of get feedback in real time. I think that's one of my favorite parts of the format, Matt. Yeah. Please keep the live streams. Yes, game news with a. I will not do a suit. Okay, trust me. If I want to make this my full-time pursuit, and I do, it was never my dream to be like, ooh, you know what I want to do? I want to make my full-time pursuit, talk about video games, and then I want to wear a suit every day. I don't think so. Probably. I just don't find suits to be very comfortable. I'm more of a jeans and t-shirt kind of guy, for better or worse. Lily says another thing that makes video game channels valuable is it allows people to see a game and it can kind of act as a walkthrough, find new friends in a community. Lets people see how it plays, gives people a chance to only watch a small portion to see if they want it. Yeah, you're right. It could help people make an informed purchasing decision, even if you're not doing like a hey before you buy type video where you're trying to give people the pros and cons. They may just inherently recognize the pros and cons of the experience watching you play and kind of getting a feel for the mechanics as you show them on screen. So, you know, in a lot of ways, you end up informing people even if you don't mean to, because they might be on the fence about a purchase, and you might be the Let's Play video they stumble across to figure out if a game is right for them or not. Good point, Lily. You should do a Ring Fit Adventure stream every morning. I wonder where you would possibly get such an idea. One up, John. And no. Because I'm a big fan of saying no. News would be nice, but in a forum type of thing. Talking with viewers, that'd be cool. You'll have a bunch of different stuff. And this thing, I'm not ruling out the possibility of doing the call-in thing that Lily had suggested at one point. Maybe doing like a voice chat and bringing somebody on. I probably need to structure it a little bit better, because right now this has been a very loose format, right? I basically just go live, you know, not a lot of on-screen graphics, nothing crazy, and that's probably something that I need to work on. It's like I've been keeping a big list of just observations of both what I've seen happen to the channel, how I feel about the content that gets created here, or obvious places where I could improve, or not troubleshoot, but I guess just make, you know, quality of life enhancements to the stream so it's more enjoyable for the viewer. And I'm hoping that between whether or not I decide to keep going with this or not, which I'm, again, very heavily leaning towards continuing it, that I can get a little bit of a break to kind of work on some of those technical things, because, you know, it's not been chaos, but, you know, you got to be basically ready every weekday when you're doing a format like this, right? You got to be ready to go at 8 or near 8 in the morning. So there's a lot to consider there, but yeah, I'm not opposed to that, and I think that would add some value, you know, because that way it's not just my perspective on the news, but somebody else's voice as well. Wayne's World, hi, welcome to Delaware. And you don't have to do it daily. I thought about doing only Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but then again, I don't want I would be worried that I would get like lackadaisic or something. Like, if I don't do it Tuesday, then I'm just, I stay up too late or I'm feeling kind of tired. And I'm like, you know what? I can just not do it Wednesday too. And I'm worried about falling into that mindset because for me, routine is one of the best things to keep me sane. Is to try to stick to not a perfectly rigid routine, but at least having some sort of I don't know, some anchor points throughout my day. And this is a big one for me. So we'll see. Which software do you use for editing your gameplay videos? I use Final Cut Pro myself, Suraj, although I have previously used iMovie to do so. I've done a little bit of it just using iMovie on my phone before for some Twitter videos, but predominantly Final Cut is home for me. I know a lot of people love Premiere, and I've edited them both. Premiere is great, I think, for in extremely detailed work, and I think that's awesome. But for me, Final Cut Pro, while you can get as detailed, it's not as easy to approach, I think, as Premiere. And I always found the workflows, for me personally, to be much faster in Final Cut than they were Adobe. So I'm always going to prefer that in all likelihood, unless they destroy the software in the next release, which is possible. It's been a number of years now that we've been on Final Cut Pro 10, so it might be that they're going to shake things up in some tremendous way. I don't have to relearn everything in about a year or two. There's also a benefit for developers. They get to see how their games are received with real-time feedback and the thoughts on it. Good point. Yeah, not every viewer is just a viewer. Sometimes it's somebody who works in the industry and they're excited to see how the game's going to perform. Maybe they're a publisher, maybe they're a marketing person, maybe they're a developer who wants feedback on, like you said, how the mechanics of their game are being interpreted or how players are reacting to it. Just to back up of what? Hold on, let me back up, buddy. I'm sorry. Just a backup of videos in case I run out of immediate stuff to upload. Oh, okay, I gotcha. So it's kind of like a safety net then, Tech. I gotcha. Jay, I love the Pixel guys. Those are a few of the others I thought about. I thought they were good observations, Lily. That was about the older game streams about when I found you. Oh, okay. So whenever I was just streaming video games, that's how you found the channel, is what you're saying, Tech? Joss, of course, we wouldn't want you to do. Thank you, Neo. Can we keep the streams? You can save them off. I don't know if you mean like, are the streams going to keep? I mean, I will always be streaming in some capacity. I enjoy it too much to not do it. Whether or not it's going to be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. for an hour every day forever, I can't really say that yet. I can tell you that there's a good chance at least 3 a week will stick around. But, I'm going to take at least a few days off and try to really think about what I'm capable. Because, I don't want to get to a point where, like my heart's not in it because I'm running out of ideas. Or I don't think I would get tired of talking. I talk a lot. Very chatty person, actually. But we'll talk about it, man. I think if you continue morning live streams, which would I think be a mix of discussions, helpful content, maybe the second half of streams could be the call-in idea I talked about. I think it would be good to segment that stuff out. Maybe I could have kind of graphical slides in between to indicate we're moving to a new section of the stream. Is your screen flat or textured and you need 2 lights minimum? It helps when you rear cast a bit. I'm not sure I understand that. You mean the green screen I have? It is kind of textured, I would say. I mean, it is fabric, if that's what you mean. The green screens can be very technical. They're getting less and less technical. Yeah, I should look into one to get one of those Elgato collapsible ones. Those ones look really nice, actually. But Josh, the dream of seeing you in a suit, that's a hard pass. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it occasionally, but I wouldn't want to do it every day, Ron Burgundy style. Paul, hello. I like the streams. Missed a few recently as I've been in the hospital for an operation. I hope you're recovering quickly. It sounds, you say you're recovering well now, but yeah, that sucks, man. I hope you keep the format and live streams as they are good fun. Well, I'm glad you enjoy, man. I do hope that you continue to recover, and I'm sorry that you had to deal with an operation. I'm sure that wasn't fun. I got a Ring Fit ad in YouTube on my recommended. It's a good game. It's real good. Only suit I think Josh could pull off is a tuxedo. I do have pictures of me in a tuxedo, but I didn't look, nearly as much like 007 as I would have hoped. How about a podcast where Josh wears a tuxedo? Maybe I could green screen in a tuxedo. I'll just wear a green suit, and then we can put whatever we want over it. Actually, no, that's a terrifying idea the more I think about it. Very loose and easy, but not too crazy. That's one way of putting it, Colossal. Perhaps more colorfully than I would have opted for personally, but I respect it. The one suit practically everyone can pull off, then we can't see the suit John tuxedo. Yes, Tuxedo Josh action figures available soon. There will never be a YourPlayerTwo action figure. Well, probably. Linda, hello, how you doing? I must have met the PS4 and using Share Factory. Ooh, yeah, Share Factory is pretty solid. I actually wanted to do a contrast and compare the editing capabilities on the Xbox versus the PS4, because I did the capture thing, right, like how to natively capture things on the Xbox, but I think it would be fun to go over some of the editing that's just built into the console. I think you can do a lot more with it than people realize. I'd love to stream games someday. What do you play on predominantly, Tech? Because someday could be today if you have a PlayStation 4. You can just go live natively, dude. I love me some Vegas. Something about owning my software is just appealing to me. Adobe lost me on their... Yeah, that's another... And that's a good point, Colossal. So there was a time when you would just buy... And it's not just Adobe. Like, literally, like, it seems like every software is moving to this software as a service model. Don't even get me started on this new Fallout Premium thing. Like, oof. But that was something where I wasn't a huge fan of Creative Cloud either. Like, I don't want to have to pay $10 in perpetuity for that. Now, there's a good chance the next version of Final Cut will probably do that, and I bet in retrospect Apple wishes they had, but Final Cut's expensive. It's about $300, but I also, that was paid for 8 years ago at this point, and I'm still using that software, and it's still doing great. They still do regular updates on it, but I don't want to have to worry about a subscription model for something that's so pivotal to my workflow. I just want to buy it, get regular free updates, and then if you're going to release an expensive version later on, that's fine. Just let me buy it off the shelf, so to speak, and keep going with it. I don't really want to feel like tethered to a subscription model to maintain my editing capabilities. It just annoys me. No, Josh, bad Josh, wrong instincts, green screen tuxedo. No, I immediately regret my decision in talking about that. If you saw my edited video, I did watch a little bit of your edited video. I didn't get to watch the whole thing because I was getting ready to leave, but I'll check out the rest of it because it was about 17 minutes long, wasn't it, Neo? I play on 360 mainly. Now, the 360 I don't think can natively stream. Brian, good morning, man. How are you? Did you ever share your thoughts on the trailer, Brian? Wait, are you guys talking about Star Wars now? I feel like we took a hard left from productivity into the world of Star Wars, which I have to say, after watching that trailer, actually, Tark's Gauntlet stopped by the stream last time we were doing Dead by Daylight, which I'll probably never stream again. But he was talking about how some of the shots in that did look kind of ugly, and then I started thinking about it. I was like, that one with the Millennium Falcon did not look great when it was in basically just like menagerie of ships. It wasn't a great frame. Although, I think that Abrams will do a better job than Rian Johnson did with the last one. I mean, hot take here. I mean, I think he knows what he's doing. I think he knows how to make a competent film that is enjoyable. I think he understands the fan base probably better than Rian Johnson did. Although I have to say, I did like Rogue One, because Rian Johnson did that too, didn't he? People just didn't seem to be as into it. Yeah, I think people like watching the killer piece of it, like for a multiplayer. I mean, I would probably stream it single player if I was just trying to chill out and have some fun myself. I might stream Dead by Daylight, but I don't think I'm going to make it the focus of a multiplayer stream again, because, Judge tried it, and he hated it, and, like, you jumped in for a minute, but I just don't think it went over as well as things like when I do Mario Maker 2 or something like that, or Mario Kart, for that matter. I think what I'm learning here is, multiplayer Wednesday should only be Mario based. I think that's the real takeaway here. What type of videos do you like watching YourPlayerTwo? Okay, so I'll tell you this, like, from a pure technical standpoint, I tend to like shorter videos, right? I like short chunks of content that usually don't go past the 7 or 10 minute range. It's rare that I watch long videos just because I struggle to keep paying attention. Just terrible. And now, there are videos out there that are super captivating that are the exception, like Tim Rogers' review of Dragon Quest on Kotaku was like a full 30 minutes long, but it was so captivating and entertaining that I couldn't look away from it. But, the types of videos that I do like to watch inspirational videos, right? Things that get you pumped up, because I feel like there's a lot of negativity and toxicity in the world, right? And I feel like even in gaming, there's so much toxicity. I don't just mean like, you hop on Xbox Live and some 12-year-old is yelling obscenities about your mom. What I'm talking about is, even among content creators, right? There's still like a ton of drama. There's lots of, just slamming people, slamming companies and stuff like that. And I don't like it. I don't advocate for it. Now, I mean, a lot of people like that because it gets them, quick views because, people love drama and everything. But I just think long term it's not the best strategy. It's certainly not something that I would be interested in. So I don't really get into drama videos very much. I mean, sometimes they're fun to kind of look at from a distance, but not really content that appeals to my interest. I like stuff that's informative. I really like videos where it's like 25 things you didn't know about Silent Hill, because I am that dude who's like I know everything about Silent Hill. I'm not really, but it is fun to learn new things, or I guess weird little Easter eggs or parts of the development process. I'll tell you this, I love documentary style videos. So when Nathan mentioned that he might make that at some point about small creators and the amount of work that goes in, I would watch that all day long, because what I really got into for a long time, and I don't even think they make them anymore, but I think it was Two Player Productions, were the people that did it. But if anybody here likes Penny Arcade TV for a number of years, probably started around 2007 or 2008, they had Penny Arcade TV, which was a sort of a behind-the-scenes look at how Mike and Jerry kind of put the comic together and all the things that go on at the Penny Arcade offices, and kind of chronicled some of their growth as, you know, their business continued to thrive. I thought that was fascinating. Like, I would watch that like crazy. I was hugely interested in it. Not just because, you know, their story is interesting, but also just seeing all the technical ways that they told that story and the documentary style, I thought was a lot of fun to watch. No regrets. I'm thinking of uploading stuff later. That's excellent. Where am I at? It was kind of messy in some shots. Yeah, that trailer. Yeah, it was. Star Wars just wish it would end. It needed a break. That's the thing. I think they wanted to just make Star Wars like Marvel, where they're like, yeah, we just churn these things out 2-3 movies a year, and we'll have another, like, you know, $1 trillion franchise in our hands. But I don't think people wanted Star Wars to be like that. Weirdly enough, I think you can have too much of a good thing. But Josh, you're a content creator. You should have all the attention span. You would think so, and yet I do not. Focus is one of the areas where I'm weakest in. I record directly from the PS4 as well. It is very easy. I think if you have an external drive hooked up, you can record up to, like, what, an hour at a time on the PlayStation? I'm not saying I'll never stream it again, but as a multiplayer focus, I bet you anything if I put Dead by Daylight on next week, and that'll be the last one for the month actually. If I put that up for the multiplayer stream next week on Wednesday for the poll, and I pit it against 2 other horror games, I bet you Dead by Daylight would lose every time. I don't think people are as into it as they are. They think, ooh, I wish I could do the Luigi's Mansion multiplayer. That would be fun. Paul says, thanks, Josh. I'm recovering well now. Had a rest for a few weeks, but having time off after my opera. I finally got around to finishing Red Dead Redemption 2, so that was good. I mean, hey, silver lining, right? I mean, if you're down recovering, you got some extra time to play video games. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the best ones if it's riding on your backlog, because it's got like 105 missions to get through the story. I think I'm still only through about 40 of them. Of course, now I'm so sucked into The Witcher 3 that every other game has been backburned, including the more recent release, Borderlands 3, which kills me. My dad has taken off without me making progress in that game. Gotta roll, Josh. Take it easy. Send you a text, Josh. Catch everyone later. Did you send me a text? Hold on. Uh-oh. It's Matt's birthday today. Before you take off, Matt, happy birthday, man. I hope it's a good one. And I hope you have an amazing time getting your kid a Switch on your birthday. That kid's making out today. Crazy. Josh, I could be so bold to say maybe do some of these streams after your day job, so then it's not so based on time. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, on a long enough timeline, I might get boring, right? I kind of like the limited nature of, 40 to 50 minutes in the morning. I guess I could start earlier someday if, it needs to go longer. But for me, that's also fuel for, to make sure that I'm doing as much as I can to get closer to my goal of going full-time with this channel. Because, again, that's what motivates me. It's not so much about the money. The money's a necessary component, absolutely. You got bills to pay. But ultimately, I want more time, because if I didn't have a day job, I could keep these streams going longer. I could, make more pre-produced content, probably more polished pre-produced content, because I wouldn't be, basically fighting against 50 hours of my week that gets eaten up by a day job. I don't know how long it's going to take me. All I know is that I'm on a mission to find out if it's possible. That's the thing. I'm not exceptionally talented in any one crazy arena, but what I am good at is persistence. Even if it's unfocused and scatterbrained a lot of the time. So we'll see what happens. But speaking of the day job, I'm gonna have to get off here now so I can go ahead and get ready for that. But as always, thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your morning to watch. I really appreciate it. I may be streaming later tonight because they are doing early release for Modern Warfare, which I'm excited to play. And I'll be basically, I had a LAN party type thing planned for this weekend with my buddy for a number of months. I'll be playing with him this weekend, so probably not streaming a lot because I'll be chilling out with him. But I will probably stream that at some point tonight, I would think, as long as it doesn't take forever to install, just to check it out and kind of see what we can expect. Beyond that, definitely, Halloween is going to be the end of these morning live streams. The experiment, not the end of the streams, I should say. And that day, we'll be doing Luigi's Mansion 3 basically all day, because I have Halloween off from the day job, so I will be doing basically just like a monster, 10, 12-hour Luigi's Mansion stream. I took time off work, exclusively for that, so that should be a lot of fun. And then also tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, I'll be over on the Game Looters channel. If you want to check them out, we'll be going live, talking about some recent video game news over there. So if you want to check out the Game Looters channel, I'll go ahead and drop in the chat here real fast. We'll be live over there tonight, youtube.com, The Game Looters. I really hope I got that right. If not, they can yell at me later, I guess. But yeah, thanks again for taking the time. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day, as we get ever closer to the weekend, which I'm very excited for. And I will see you guys on the next stream, either later tonight or, first thing in the morning. We'll have a fun stream tomorrow. We'll talk about something cool. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.